Well, hey everyone, how's it going? So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to remove the battery from a 2008 Grand Prix GXP. Now, why do I need to make a video on this? Well, it's a highly requested video for one. Reason being that this is not easy to get out, believe it or not. Just like everything else in this vehicle, when you stuff a V8 into something that wasn't meant to handle it, they had to cut some corners and be creative with placement of certain things, the battery being one of them. So getting this battery out isn't as simple as just disconnecting the terminals and lifting it out and off you go. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So I'm going to show you how to get this out. Now, the key is to make sure that you don't tilt the battery all that much. You're going to have to tilt it a little bit. That's just the nature of it, unfortunately. So just be aware that you don't want to tilt it all that much. In fact, it really helps if you have somebody actually help you with this. And that's actually to kind of pull this box out of the way, have them hold it out of the way while you're manipulating the battery to get it out. There's not that much room in here, as you can see. So having a friend help will definitely make your life easier, but it's not required. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get this out. Shouldn't take more than about 15-20 minutes to get the battery out. And then, of course, the same for the installation. It's actually easier to install than it is to get it out. So let's go ahead and get started. Now you can probably see that I've already disconnected the positive and negative battery cables because I'm working on a different project. You can see that I've got my belt removed and things like that. I'm actually pulling the motor, but that's not a part of this process, thankfully. I wanted to go ahead and get this video taken care of now before I start taking away some of this stuff so that you can see how easy or how difficult it is to get this battery out. It's really not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of maneuvering. So you can see that I've already disconnected my positive and negative battery terminals, but we're going to go ahead and get this cross frame support off. These are 10mm bolts here. There's 2 in the front and there's 1 in the rear. Alright, so with the 3 bolts off, you can see they're right here. You should make note that this larger bolt out of the 3 actually goes to the back. So make sure when you put those back together, you go ahead and put them back in the right order or in the right place. So with that off, now you'll notice that there's a wire harness that's back here. It's actually pretty easy to get rid of, just kind of pull it out. You can see there, mine's actually pretty beat up. Anyway, now the support is away. And at this point is where you would actually disconnect your battery cables and get them and move them out of the way. But you still can't get this battery out. Reason being, you also have some bolts at the bottom down there that have to come out. Okay, so down underneath here, on the side of the battery, you'll see it when you look straight down. There's actually 2 13mm bolts that hold the battery in place. This is a retainer bracket. It's pretty common for pretty much everyone, but there's one down on the left side, and then there's one down on the right side. And once those 2 come out, then the battery will actually be free to move, but we still have some more work after that in order to get the battery out. Alright, so I ended up only removing 1 of the 2 bracket bolts that holds the battery bracket in place, and it actually might be a little bit easier to move this harness back just a little bit, get an extension and bring it down here and get this one, but I went ahead and got this one, and it's fine. I ended up having to use a small drive in order to get there because there's not much room between the motor and the bracket, so it's I could not get a 3/8 drive in there. It was just too fat. So with the bracket now down, it's just hanging there basically by 1 bolt. Now we can go ahead and turn our attention towards this box here. This is your main fuse box or underhood fuse box. Get this off. Take the cover off. With the panel off, what you'll notice is that you've got two 11mm screws or bolts right here that actually hold this entire thing in place. And just remove those, and once those are away, then you're able to reposition this box or have somebody hold it out of the way for you. Because the problem is that, I don't want to lose my socket. The problem is that when you're trying to bring the battery this way and tilt it at the same time, this box actually gets in the way. So what you do is, I went ahead and disconnected the two. What you do is you bring it back, and then you may have a problem here with this harness clip right here. You may have to disconnect that so that this part of the harness is actually free to move around. But basically what you do is, while someone else is actually holding this up and out of the way, you get the battery and you go ahead and tilt it towards you, but you can't do it too far, or else you'll risk actually problems with the battery. So I'm going to need to get a friend to go ahead and help me with this, and then I'll go ahead and get the battery out. Okay, so let's say that you're doing this all by yourself. You don't have any help whatsoever. You're doing this project on your own. How can you do this? Well, it's going to take a couple extra steps, but it still can be done. So at the top here, you have a positive battery cable connection, or a main connection that comes in to the fuse panel that actually powers the fuse panel. This is a 1/2 inch. Okay. Alright, so once that's disconnected, you can actually start removing this box here and get it out of the way. Now you've got main connectors that come in here, different harnesses and so on. Obviously that's what the fuses are for. So you've got different portions that come in, and unfortunately they come in from all different directions. So you need to disconnect those in order to get this box out of the way. It's easy to do. Yes, it takes a couple extra minutes. I've heard people scoff at doing this, like, oh, just find a friend. Well, sometimes you just can't get a friend to help you with this, so it's going to take a couple extra steps, and it's going to save you a lot of money anyway. So anyway, these are 7mm, and what they are is they actually hold the main 4 harnesses that come into this box. They hold them in place so that you can get them out. Now, these 7mm are actually not going to come out all the way. So be aware of that. Back them out as far as you can. All of them. Again, yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but if you're doing this by yourself, you're going to have to take a few extra steps in order to get this battery changed out. And again, this is the stuff that they actually have to do with the dealer, believe it or not. That's why they charge you an arm and a leg to do something like this. And even some of the free battery installation places, they'll charge you to do this. It's just the way it is. Alright, so I've backed those out as far as I can for right now. So we have to separate these two pieces here. It's sandwiched together. You got the top panel, and then you have the bottom portion of the panel that basically just that it sets in. So what we need to do is we need to get a flat blade screwdriver, and on the outside of this box, there's one right here, there's one at the bottom, and there's 2 here on the right. Basically what you do is you take them and you bring them out. Okay, get the one at the bottom. Alright, if you can, get the one at the bottom. Alright, that one's out. And then you got 2 here on the right. Okay, and then there's one more right there, I think. There we go. Alright, so now that's backed out all the way. So on this side where this harness you see comes in here, there's actually a like a round plastic piece that holds this in place. I think it's kind of pointless, but just take your, you'll see it. I won't be able to get the camera down in there to see this, but basically just lift up. There's two tabs that are on the opposite side of this thing. Let's see if I can get this out a little bit further. On the underside here, you may be able to see this. There are these two plastic, you can see now it's moving a little bit. Basically, I just release those with a flat blade screwdriver, and then you should be able to bring this forward or towards you. Okay, now the whole thing should begin to separate, and if you've done it right, then you should be able to bring this all the way out, just like that. Okay, so here's one of the main harnesses. It came disconnected. Obviously, I undid the bolts. So one of the main harnesses is out. Now, we'll get this. This is the bottom portion of the box. Okay, we can get that out, set that aside. So the top one has been disconnected. As you can see, this is what it looks like on the underside. Okay, so you've got the four main harnesses that come into this panel here. Obviously, this one just popped right out. That's what they're supposed to do. The other ones here, not so much. So what you do is while you're holding on to it, you back it out. Okay, and then you just do the same for the rest of them. While you're holding on the back side of the harness, back it out. Okay, now there's another one that's gone, and then your last one down here at the bottom. Okay. All right, so that's what that looks like. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that these will only go in their proper order, but just in case, I'm not even going to risk it. Just in case, you know that the top one is white or vanilla. The harness coming from the motor itself is the second one down. Okay. Then you've got the gray one, which is the third one, gray and red. Okay. And then the black one and red is on the bottom. Okay. So that's how you can tell, you know, basically where they're going to go. Now, the entire fuse box is away. Now what we can do is we can begin to remove this battery. You can see all this extra room we have now. Again, this is just one of those things that without removing this panel here, it's actually kind of difficult to get this battery out without tipping it. I know there's some crafty people out there who can do it without taking the panel off, and actually this is a newer battery. I actually did this once before, and I did it with a helper, so I didn't have to remove the panel. But there, all right, so there it is. The battery is out, and now I can set it aside. So basically, that took about, what, an extra 2 minutes? And again, I've seen people complain about all the unnecessary steps. Well, if you're doing this by yourself and you want to do it right and you want to do it without tipping the battery all the way over, then you have to take this off. And it only took, like I said, an extra 2 minutes to get that off. It was a 7mm. Got these harnesses off and out of the way, and that's easy. And then basically you just put your new battery back in and you repeat the process through the same way. Once the battery's back in, just hook up all of your harnesses that you have here and put the box back down. Sliding these wires through these holes may be a little difficult, but not impossible, obviously. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Removing the battery is fairly easy to do. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. And remember to be safe. Take care.